Okay, so you downloaded this game and you don't know what's going on. So this is InflationRPG, the game. Now, the first thing you'll want to do, if you're on an Android device, there's this neat thing you can do to not have ads. So this banner ad here is annoying and all. Now let's see. Oh, I am very much not on a fresh save. Um, so let's fix that. This isn't my main, so I can just clear this, and I'll start a new. So this is nothing important. Apparently, this emulator device, which doesn't actually exist, has 84% battery power. Or is it? Also, apparently, British Daylight Saving Time is West Africa Standard Time. Where's applications? I'm missing it. Hi. Yeah, no, it's not there either. It'd probably be in storage. Apps. And then, yep, there it is, Inflation RPG. So I'm gonna clear data. Don't do this. This isn't something you do to events in the game. This is so I can start off from scratch. So if you're on an Android device, this applies anytime you open the game. You can turn off Wi-Fi or mobile data or whatever connects you to the internet related to this game. Then open the game. It takes a second here.
Epic, now we're in the game.
We have entered game zone. So the first thing you'll want to do is look at the settings. If you want the music on, keep it on. If you want it off, turn it off. If you want sound effects on, keep them on. If you don't, turn them off. I prefer to have both of these off, but that's just a personal thing. I've heard them enough. I've played this game enough for that. This decides, this top setting decides how the game reacts to the end of a fight. So I'll leave it on its current setting for now and start a run. This is the character you're going to want to be using. Um, Everyone refers to this character as gray hair because he's the one with the gray hair. You can use orange hair here as well if you want. This is a pretty niche character you'll only ever effectively use a bit later down the line. Everyone else is trash, basically. You can get to mid-hard mode with any character. You can only get to the very end of the game with one of these two. Uh, I've only ever really played with gray hair, so we'll stick with gray hair. Um, in this game, you can fight up to 30 battles. That's kind of a lie. So you have 30 battle points when you start. Each time you finish a fight, you lose one battle point, but you gain the levels, money, and whatever else you get from that enemy. When you lose a fight, in normal mode, you lose 3 VP instead of 1. When you kill bosses, you can only do so once per run for each boss, and depending on the boss you kill, you'll gain a certain amount of BP. We'll see that in a bit. But the first thing you want to do is open up this bonus menu. Actually, before that, I almost forgot this. So you want to, from title screen, you can do this before you even start a run. It's probably a better idea. Saves a bit of time. You want to go to the statistics screen and hit the tweet button. You don't actually have to tweet about the game. You can back out of that as soon as you want. I have no internet connection currently on this device. Back to that actually. No, we'll finish this first. So you go to statistics, hit tweet. You can back out of that, and then hit reading, and then you can back out of that. The back button failed me. And now, normally when you open this menu from a fresh install, you'll have 5 of this bonus, and you'll be able to use 1 per game. But now, you can use 2 per game, and you have a total of 6 per day, which is a pretty nice thing. Having 2 of these bonuses comes in really handy later on. Uh, And removing ads, you'll see there's no banner ad here. That's because it tried to load one when the game first opened up, but because I had no internet connection, it didn't. It failed to, and now it's not going to try again for the rest of this game session. The same happens with video ads. Normally, when you exit out of a run back into the main menu, the title screen, you'll get a video ad, a forced video ad that is annoying. It's an ad. So if you have your internet off, when you first leave a run in a game session, it'll try to load it, it'll fail, and it won't try again for the rest of the app session. So then you can turn on Wi-Fi again and play as normal. So getting into the run here, there is a very good guide out there on the internet. If I can find it, I can. It's on my bookmarks because that just shows what kind of person I am. This site uses cookies. So this is the farming recommendations page on the game's semi-official wiki, and this is an extremely detailed guide to your entire first run. So Chrome isn't cooperating here, but your first run is entirely detailed all the way down here. So when you first spawn, use a bonus. One of these bonuses, actually, obtain money at random. So this gives you money in a certain range. It's not really relevant. It's only ever useful in the first run before you even fight an enemy. So you get a few thousand from that. You can buy a Bowie knife, which is a bit of a weapon upgrade, iron armor, which is a bit of a defense upgrade, and a luck gem. Now, luck isn't the greatest stat for combat purposes, it's the worst in the game, but what you want here at the very first steps of the game isn't combat effectiveness, it's money. And luck increases how much money you get. It scales off really badly, but the difference between 1 and 100 is big. So now you're going to take your first fight in level 1. Uh, and this is really easy. You're not supposed to be able to die here at all, and of course you don't. So this is where these settings come in. So after this fight, it gave me a pop-up, but that'll only happen ever once in a save. If I switch to this option in the status allocation settings, then this screen will automatically come up after every fight. Now this part is really important. This is the stat distribution you want to use, which is how you use these stat points that you get from leveling up. It's really simple. You put half of them into attack, and then you split the remaining between defense and HP. So that would go like half attack button, half defense button, all HP button. Alternatively, you can half attack, half HP, all defense. The result's the exact same. It doesn't really matter. So the rest of this is just following this guide down to about here. That screwed up. So then you go into the level 25 area. Seems like audio is okay, so that's fine. And this pop-up comes up, but after it, and this will always come up with this option on, you're already here at the stats screen. So I'm going to use my stat points the same way. It's like this for most of the game. So then we enter level 72. Fights are looking a bit closer, but it's nothing that bad. Okay, that's lucky. That won't normally happen to you, so I'm not going to use this for demonstration's sake. But just to see, let's see what the stats are on that. 1400 flat attack with a 135% multiplier to attack. That's really nice. If you get that early on, do use it. That's a nice thing to get if you can manage it, but don't expect it. So now you go into the southern map. This is the only time you will ever be here, as nothing useful drops here in normal or hard mode. You take one fight in here, and then you say goodbye to this map forever. So then you head up and to the right a bit and spawn. and you take 2 fights in this area. Now, the background's red and it says danger, but you will win this fight every time. This has been meticulously planned out by one of the most experienced players, easily the most experienced with early game in the Discord server for this game. He's been around years and he's basically perfected the start of this game. So this is entirely trustworthy. If you just do exactly what's said here, nothing can go wrong. You can get unlucky in getting an early random encounter between places, but you will get to the end of this run, unless you do something wrong. And it's not that hard to do well. It might take a couple tries to get the hang of just how to work with the game, but it's not that bad. So we've done 2 fights in level 172, and now we're going to do 1 in 220. So that's fine. And now, excuse me, we have a somewhat long run. Also, do take note of this. This is stuff you want to buy. So as soon as you have 6,000 gold, just go ahead and buy Iron Sword here for a bit of extra attack power. But we're still on here. Run west to the level 300 area and the left to spawn, and I made it. That won't happen every time. There's a good chance that playing this on your own, you'll get a random encounter somewhere in spawn on your way here. But it's not that important. It's not that every BP entirely counts, so don't worry about it. And I have a really round 1,000 gold here, which is nice. Not that it's useful. But anyway, now we move into this map on the left. So we've already done this, so that's nothing to worry about. You might not have it by now, but as soon as you have 6,000 gold, just keep a note of that and make sure to buy this sword. And we take 2 fights in this version of level 300. And we keep starting the same way through basically the whole run until the very end, regardless of where we are. There's a bonus here. This doesn't come into effect for a while. This might require me to take an extra fight, but it doesn't. So there's a special enemy that can spawn in this bonus, but we'll get to that if it spawns at any point, which it hasn't here, so never mind that. So that is 2 fights in this level 300 zone. This is nice, triple money for a fight. Bonuses like this can pop up on basically any zone in the game, but now we're in level 470 and we take 2 fights in here. It might look a little spooky, but remember, each HP bar has more HP to it than the last, so the first red bar on the top HP bar of any enemy only ever has 1000 HP. Not all HP bars are equal. Later into the game, it gets really fun because you just go through the first of an enemy's health bars and then all of the rest takes one hit. It's awesome. But there are your 2 fights in 470, and we've got a half enemy HP bonus here. This is my favorite bonus for reasons I'll be explaining maybe about 20 hours of watch time past this point. That's an exaggeration, but whatever. So here we take 3 fights actually. And buy accessory slot 2 once you've got Iron Sword and you have 5,000 gold. So I'm going to do that now, but I have nothing to put in it. We'll get to that soon. And here is the second fight in here. Even if you die at some point during this run, don't sweat it. It's not that big of an issue. And we've got an XP bonus here. Double XP for the next 2 fights. The bracketed number is how many fights that bonus will last for. Those turns in a bonus do elapse if you take a fight in another zone. So you see how there are 4 fights with the same bonus in the zone to the right? I wasn't in that zone, but that's still going to go down to 3 now. So that's how bonuses work in general, and that has been the third fight in here. So now we're gonna go back into spawn and fight our first boss, the jousting red panda, basically an icon in this game. Actually, the server icon of its Discord server, really recognizable. You will kill this individual a lot of times. So now I have another 2000 gold, so I'm going to buy an attack gem, and I'm going to equip it, of course. There's no point wasting a slot. And now I'm going to kill this panda. Unfortunate. So you see how here I have 14 battle points, and after every other fight I've lost one at a time. Give me Kukri, do it. Aw, we'll come to that later. So now I have 16 BP, and my base ability has become 1. So there are certain key bosses in the game that give you what we just call a base level when you first kill them in each mode. There are 8 of these bosses, each give 1 level per mode to a total of 16 base levels, which is the max. They're not that important, don't honestly worry about them. They just give a slight boost to stats based on your character. So what we're going to do here, we're not going to advance farther into desert just yet. We're going to take a fight just in the corner of this zone to get the maximum XP we can out of it before we advance into the desert, into the higher level zones. So it even says here, take one last fight just in the corner at 710 to run back to the desert in the east, straight into level 1222. Let's see. So there's this little grid here. Um, all the areas at the same level are connected diagonally. So here's 1222, so this area and this area and this area will also be 1222. This grid is 3 zones wide and 4 zones tall. So 133 zones will be here, 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 and here. But let's take our first fight in here. Hopefully I don't die and look like a stupid idiot. It doesn't look like that's gonna happen. And we have killed the enemy in here. So this is where the real gold farming starts. Enemies in desert, especially in 1333 and the below 2222 zone, drop a lot of gold, which is actually really useful because early on, everything useful comes from gold. Later on, it's going to move to items dropped by enemies, and that's where this game becomes a hellscape, an absolute terrible hellscape that I hate, and at the same time I love. And we got a battle axe from this enemy. It's not particularly useful, I don't think. Might be though. Oh, actually, yeah. So 5,000 flat attack and 145% attack multiplier. So
It's one of the weapons you can move on with,
yeah, there
but
are,
you also want some more gold.
I believe there are 3 weapons that are dropped in here. 3 other weapons, all of which you can also buy with gold, but battle axe also exists from here. So we're just going to sit in here a bit and keep buffing our stats up. I'm going to stat a bit of luck. It's not entirely recommended that you do that yet, because this guy doesn't mention it, but in my own experience, you can pretty reasonably get into the level 2222 zone within the space of this run. So we're building up a pretty decent amount of gold already, of course, because yeah, this is exactly why this part of this map is so good for gold farming, because the enemies just drop a lot of gold at their base state. I think this enemy can drop a weapon. I believe steel sword. We'll have to see. Didn't drop it. Get used to enemies that can drop not dropping, because that is gonna drive you insane if you don't get used to it in this game. And at this part of the run, you can stay in 1333 for the rest of this run. I like to go into 2222, but I pretty much eyeball it all the time, which a lot of times has led to me just making a complete fool of myself. I could end up doing that at the end of this run, but that's perfectly fine since it's really optional and you only need to do it if you really want to get the most out of this first run. But the next couple runs are also going to be like this, so there's not entirely that much point. Now the boss in 2222 here, the Great Sphinx I believe it's called in the game's files, or we just like to call it Sphinx, gives I think 5 or 6 BP, more than almost any other boss in the game. Now here's why 2222 isn't entirely recommended. So I'm in a combat bonus, combo and crit, which raises your chances of getting combos on any given turn and crits on any given attack.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, that was a pretty good fight. I went down to about half HP. I think I probably can win just about any fight in here now then. These question mark bonuses, stay out of these for the first run or two. The one of the enemies that you can get specially from zones with this bonus in them drops the centerpiece of the meta, the recovery necklace, but you don't need it just yet, so don't worry about it. We're going to keep taking fights in 2222 here. I believe every enemy in this zone, maybe except one, can drop an item. I'm in trouble. I'm going to cash recover. Yeah, I would have died there if it weren't for that. So that was a pretty bad result, actually, but not that horrible. So I'm gonna somewhat cheat now. If you got one of these two weapons earlier in the run, you can abuse that a bit here and make 22-22 fights a whole lot easier. So you can see with that battle axe, I gained an extra about 10k attack, which is almost double what I had before. And now I'm killing things comfortably in here. There could still be a chance that I die, but we'll see. So this, I believe, is the hardest enemy in here. This, if I'm gonna die to anything, it's gonna be this. But no, we're still fine. That was one crit, but one crit doesn't make up for
Oh,
4 or 5 turns of damage. So on the last BP I have here, I'm going to fight Sphinx, and I might eat shit, but I have killed Sphinx a solid few times in first run of a save, so we'll see. But before I do that, I'm going to use this daily bonus, and I'm going to get absolutely nothing good in this zone. So it's also a good idea to look at this stuff. So there's skill armor, HP gem +1, and accessory slot 3. Accessory slots are always really nice. They're always something you want. I'm gonna buy steel armor for now as a placeholder, and I guess we can probably extend this video to a run, like 2 or 3 runs. So let's see. I'm probably gonna die here, but we'll see how it goes. No, actually, this looks fine. So I got a couple of crits there, but that was still gonna be a kill. That was a pretty comfy fight, and you can see we gained 7 BP. It does still take away 1 after this amount that you gain from the boss. Now, I have 7 BP, and Sphinx is another one of the bosses that gives you a base level. So now that I've killed Sphinx, there's nothing harder that I'm going to be going for in this run, so you might as well, if you get to this point in a run, just stat only luck for the rest of the run. Now, I could die in this bonus. If it's the right grip of question mark enemies, I'm fine. I'm actually still fine. No, this is great. You see how I just gained 30,000 gold? This is the good part about question mark mobs. They're really lucrative. There's one that still is pretty likely going to kill me if I get it, but I don't know if I can in this zone. Question mark mobs have some really, really weird shit going on behind the
groups.
scenes
The
with how they
angel that
work.
can kill you there.
Mm. Uh, this enemy, if you gold farm much in here, you might learn to hit this enemy because he drops a lot more gold than anything else in this zone. Still not
He
nothing, but
doesn't.
still not much. So I'm going to use another daily bonus here. It was with the hope of getting a money times 2 or a money times 3 or maybe even another question mark bonus in here. Not lucky enough to get that, but this is still fine. And you can see because of that, that was a pretty good stroke of luck, but I already have about 100,000 gold. You're not normally going to get that unless you get something like those question mark mobs. But let's see. So what you want now is accessory slot 3, pretty important as with every other accessory slot, and an HP gem plus 1. HP and attack are really the main stats for the start of a run, and then you get a bit into defense, and then you suddenly start going way farther in runs in way less BP as soon as you have like an attack gem plus 1 and an HP gem plus 1. That's where the game at least really starts. So we're coming to the end of our BP here. Could see... No. So I could have bought skill armor with the gold I had just before, but now that's almost certainly not happening. There are a couple of useful
Huh.
things that you can get in here, but yeah, 1 BP to get a drop is always pretty bad odds. That's an average boss farm run where you're trying to get loot from any boss in the game. That's where people stop playing this game normally, but the hard ones of those don't come for a while. So that's the last fight of the first run, and that's game over. So to actually finish a run and keep your progress, you have to hit title from this screen. But before you do that, you still have your gold and you can go into your equipment menus and still buy things. So I'm gonna, oh man, I was gonna buy an attack gem plus 1, but I'm just a bit short. So instead, we can buy a couple useful things. Um, Battle point rings are nice. Those basically allow you to have an extra fight at the end of a run. I didn't mean to equip that one, I'll replace that in a second. There's also movement gems and encounter reduction rings, which form your movement set or your running set. A lot of the time we just shorten it to run set, which is one of the biggest power jumps in the game because you can get from place to place without encounters so much easier with one on. But this is going to be it for now. I'm going to stick with the iron sword for consistency's sake, or even just iron axe, since by the end of this run you'll probably have at least some kind of upgrade to the iron sword, like a bronze sword or preferably something you get from the 1333 zone up here, because the drops you can get from there include, I believe, the steel sword, which is nice, but also the scimitar, which is 225% attack multiplier, which is really, really nice. But we're going to stick with just the iron axe for now, and we're going to go to title and hit OK. So now, on your statistics screen, you'll have all that stuff that you just had on there. So your times plague counter is the amount of runs that you've finished. So that's nothing yet. And you'll see now this looks a bit different. So every character now has an ability level. Those just come with runs spent with a character. Um, Getting extra levels on other characters doesn't do anything. So there's still no real point in using anything else. So from here, you've got to somewhat eyeball things because things aren't really as set in stone. I was trying to get to 172 there because I'd assume I can survive a fight there, but this is fine. So you can see this is a lot more stats than we started out with last run. I'll take a fight in 172 here. It should be fine, I guess. Yeah, more than. I probably should have gone to 300 because it seems like that was probably livable. And we're still statting the same way. Um, no, that's fine. So Now we're gonna go to 300. Even got a half enemy HP bonus in here, which won't really mean much. I still like 2 or 3 shot and lose barely any HP because this is what carrying gear over does for you. So you don't carry over your money between runs, but you do carry over your gear, which is far more important. I'm gonna take a fight in here and see if I can even kill things in here, which I can't. So I'm gonna cancel this. I'm not gonna cancel this run actually. There's no real need to. So I'll take another fight in 300 because that was a close fight. And with a bit more stat points, I can probably take something out in 710. And that's a crit and a combo. That's going to help tremendously, but I still lived with about half HP, so it was really pretty safe. That's a bunch of extra stats. This might be a pretty dumb idea, but I'm going to go for Panda now with about 4000 HP. And that crit was the only thing that kept me alive, so I guess I should probably go for Panda a bit later. Don't worry if you die on these runs. If you want, you can restart them and go for like a really good run with no deaths, but there's no real need for that. You don't need to optimize your run count, especially if this is your first time playing through the game. Some people like to try to get as many things done as possible in as few runs as possible, but that is way past the point of just your first playing the game. I might die here. No, not at all. So once you can kill Red Panda, you can basically go straight to 1222 and start getting ready to gold farm. And this is all the first few runs are going to be. Just farming gold and getting pretty basic things. That was a pretty early random encounter at about a fifth of the gauge. That doesn't happen often, but it's not a huge deal. Late game, if you're going for some really cool, dumb end game things, then every BP counts, but not so much here. So now we're in 1333, and 2222 is going to be reachable a lot faster here, as you can tell, and that obviously means more time getting the most gold possible. I'm going to use a bonus already here, and we get combo and crit in here. So this might actually end up being a very bad idea, but I'm going to try it. Because combo and crit bonus can do some really cool and really stupid things for a fight. I'm going to die the next time I get hit. Don't be afraid to use half your gold on a recovery, especially if it's early in a run. So that first fight win is going to break me into this zone a lot better. And so it should be pretty sustainable now if I actually get good things to happen in fights. Hello? I might well die here. Nope. Okay. So that was close. I was one hit away there. Again, you can take risks and kind of just feel things out. That's I like to think that's where a lot of the fun lies in early game. So don't be afraid to do that. You've got all the time in the world to waste later in the game. Um, some of the enemies in this zone can drop some pretty useful things, especially early game. Uh, I think there are 3 or 4 different enemies that can drop magic armor, which is very nice, has a lot of percentage bonus to defense, and also the Trident, which drop only weapons and armors and accessories you can't see the stats of until you get them, but there are wiki pages for them. So if you look at, let's say, equipment weapons, right? And you know what you're looking for, let's say the Trident. Let's zoom into this so you can see it a bit better. That is plus 1800 flat attack bonus, as well as 230%. Now, percent versus flat. Flat bonuses are more useful for the first couple fights of a run. Um, but ultimately, what you're going to be using for most of the game at any point is just your weapon that gives you the most percent attack, and the armor that gives you the most percent defense. So that fight was somewhat close. I am playing like an idiot. You can take these a lot safer. And you'll probably still have a decent amount of BP coming into here because remember, I also died, so I really could have been a 19 BP now pretty easily. And there's an HP gem plus 1. So some of the enemies in here can pretty randomly drop some neat items. This attack gem isn't doing much for me. It's not going to do as much as an HP gem 1. Attack is the best stat, but if something's giving you 10 times the HP that you're getting in attack, then you're going to want that instead. Now, this is the bad part about gold farming. So I got a money bonus, which in 22-22 is pretty great. But then I get the enemy that drops the least gold. This is gonna happen a solid few times. You've just got to get used to dumb shit like that happening in this game. And here's any other enemy other than that one, so we're gonna get pretty good money from this fight. As long as I kill, which I'm gonna. Yeah, see, 10,000, which it's a lot more than 4,000. And if you think that you're getting this for half a run's worth of BP, you can get some pretty decent money sitting in here. You can get better types of money bonuses with a bit more times played, but we're not there just yet. The highest you can get in your first couple runs is money times 3, but after a few, money times 4 just kind of unlocks itself after I think 3 or 4 times played. And then after that, after a couple more times played, you get money times 7. Now, times played only goes up when you get a run from start to 0 BP at the game over screen, you go back to title. And that's awesome. We get triple money for 4 fights. That is great. So we have 64,000 gold. So I'm gonna get skill armor. It's not that big an upgrade to defense, but it's still something. I actually probably should have gotten an attack gem first there, and see, here you go. This is the bad gold enemy. Welcome to the game. You're gonna see this at some point. It's sometimes I swear this game is actually just a rage game, and it's just meant to annoy people. And how I get to that conclusion is because stuff like that happens all the time. That enemy had like 100 HP as of my last turn. So, something to be aware of. I'm going to style luck here because I think I can take on Sphinx. Sphinx actually drops a lot of money, so I'm going to save this last turn of triple money to fight him on. Now this enemy can drop Trident, and if he drops Trident, I'm equipping it and I'm going straight for Sphinx because that fight will be really easy all of a sudden then. But he doesn't, I'm still going to go straight for Sphinx because I really want to make sure that I get as much money as possible from him. If you get a money times 4 or a money times 7 later on, you really should just try to kill Sphinx on that at pretty much any cost. This fight, this is definitely going to be a win, and this is going to give me a lot of money. There you go, 33,000 gold, which is very nice. And the rest of any of these first few runs is just spent sitting in here. And that's really it for now. So I'll go out through the rest of this run and we can look at a couple extra useful things. So you've got accessories. There are a lot of these in the game. They do a bunch of different things from XP gems, which are huge and a massive part of the meta, to multiple stats kind of items that give you some of everything, like Hero Gem plus 2s, which are a big part of the meta, and their ID in game is also, would you look at that, 69. Nice. You've also got the 4 Gods Gem plus 1, which gives you 360,000 of everything but luck, which is massive. It's basically an end game staple. There's also the Stat Point Crystal and its plus 1 version, which give you more stat points for every level. So normally you get 4 per level. With the normal version of it, the normal version of SPC, you get 5 per level. And with the plus 1 version, you get 6 per level. This is a lot better than it sounds, but we'll get to that. Really, at this point, I'm just building up money and hoping for an item drop or two or a decent bonus, or a decent question mark bonus, that is. I'm gonna buy this attack gem 1 here. I'm not actually sure how much luck gem plus 1s cost. Okay, so it's 40k. Luck gems give not much luck actually, so it's not going to be that big a thing. But I think now actually I'll probably focus on getting a couple just utility things like movement items so that later on I can start building a running set out of them. I'm just going to play out the rest of this run and I'm going to shut up for a bit. I can buy the plus 1 of this now, so I'm going to do that. It's only 400 extra luck, but it's nice. But But first, a word from our sponsor, Read Shadow Legends. Nah, I don't think I'm big enough for that. Another really good bonus I don't think we've seen yet is basically a version of the current bonus, but for enemy attack. So it halves how much attack enemies have, which is actually better than it sounds. Enemies deal less than half the damage because of how defense works, because defense is obviously a stat. That's massive. Taking less damage is absolutely huge. And there's a defense gem 1, which is actually nice. So I can probably use that for the first few fights of each run, as well as the attack and EHP plus 1s to get off to a pretty fast start by now. So another thing you're definitely wanting from here is the magic armor and the trident, because saw earlier the trident gives about 230% attack as well as a decent bit of just flat bonus. Magic armor is very nice. It gives plus 5 flat defense, which is basically nothing. Um, it makes up for it by about tripling how much defense you have after that. That's 280%. That is really, really nice to have. Yeah, go ahead. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. So I am streaming this in Discord, so I might say just like some seemingly random things. It's probably me answering to stuff that's been said in the voice chat. So we're almost at the end of the run here. I'm getting more luck per, or more money per mob now because I have a decent bit of extra luck compared to last run. Because I got here with so much extra BP to spare. About 80k gold now. I'm actually not entirely sure what to do with it, but that is where
Remember
this page comes in
battle
again.
point ring.
Oh yeah, BP rings. Thank you, I was gonna forget. So this is where BP rings come in. So it's it's really simple. It's exactly how it's described. Battle points increase by 1. So while you have one of these on, or any amount of these on, the amount of BP you have goes up. So this basically can extend your runs by the end of the game by a ton. You can get some +3 and +2 versions of these that end up giving about 35 extra BP total, which can make runs a decent bit longer. So I have 3+0 versions of these, which doesn't give too much extra, but it's still nice, still makes for a decent bit of extra gold. I'm still going to be able to kill everything in here comfortably without the HP or attack gems too. Got 2 more BP left in the run, counting this final ring as well. It looks like we're not going to get another money bonus or anything, because this XP bonus in here lasts the last 2 BP. But that's still a pretty okay second run. It's about what you'd expect to happen. So you're going to be doing this for a solid bit. But it doesn't take that long to get past this part of the game, so don't worry about it too much. You can also buy a couple decent weapons here already. If you get decent money from a run. I'll live out this last fight, and then I'll see what I want to buy. Come on, last BP drop, let's go. Give me that magic armor. Ah,
That's still good money.
yeah, that was like 14k from a fight without money bonuses. So that leaves me at about 125,000 gold with a death, which means 3 BP less that I got to farm with. But for the start of the next run, I'm gonna equip the attack +1, the defense +1, and I clicked the wrong thing there, and the HP +1 is up here. So, just in advance, avoid play gems. They're completely useless unless you abuse how they work extremely hard, at which point we basically consider it cheating. So basically they're useless unless you cheat. So don't really bother with those. I'm gonna buy a couple extra movement items here, and just to speed up the process a bit, I'm gonna equip this battle axe from the first run from now on. And I'm gonna go to title. So that is the second run done. If you're a good bit behind here by the end of your second run, don't worry about it. You don't have to match my pace or anything as long as you have the same stuff before advancing. It doesn't matter how many rounds it takes. So you can see now we're going a lot faster with the extra attack, the extra defense, just starts a lot hotter. Should be able to kill in here. Huge, yeah. So that's a bit lower level, and I killed in like 3 hits and I took no damage compared to actually dying in here at about the same level last run. And Panda is going to be free now, and yeah, Panda is never going to be difficult again, at least not in NM. He's not difficult at the start of HM either, but we're going to still take the fight just in the bottom corner of this zone here, just for some extra levels. And this is how gold farming gets faster, because I mean, I'm about to get to desert with basically 30 BP in my pocket. I can pretty much skip into 1333, I believe, and still be fine. Yeah, I'm taking like no damage and I'm dealing more than enough. So, should be able to get into 2222 and a couple extra BP here. Oh man.
That's
Oh,
good.
I don't know I don't know what to do in this actually. I don't know whether I should risk this. I have like, yeah, I'll take like another one fight in 1333. Now this is where risk reward comes into play. I might be getting completely baited here, and I might get absolutely dunked on by the first enemy I fight in here. So let's see how it goes. This doesn't look the best, but I might be able to get through it. I'm gonna take a cash recovery here because I am going to get all that money back right away from that fight. And I get a decent amount of extra stat points as well. Get the same enemy again the next fight, and of course, because I got so much money last time, I can afford a cash recovery again, but this time I'm not going to need it. The extra stats are going to let me kill it without blowing some extra on a cash recovery. I don't think I'm ready for Sphinx yet, but I'm going to risk it anyway, because if it works, I'm in the money. So let's see how this goes.
Huh.
This is risky, so I don't know, I might die.
Yeah, as a general rule of thumb, you should always try fighting an enemy in the area of the boss, and if you can beat the enemy with like half HP left, you can usually beat the boss.
That sounds about right, yeah. It only works for most of the game though. Obviously, later on stuff like Koryu at the top of heaven and then Archangels and Stairway, they will shit on you even if you destroy the enemies around them. They're completely fine.
Yeah, but up to heaven, that's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Yeah, you can pretty much go by that. That sounds right. So, already killed Sphinx, so the rest of the run is just the same as the last two. I got to shut up a lot earlier this time. And we got a question mark bonus here. Ooh, it is.
Oh, this is a really good one.
You are about to see me get rich very fast. So this enemy gives a lot. This is the same group as that, like,
I think
pirate ship
before we
looking
get
ass boss
jailbird, we
earlier.
can feel the pain.
And I get it again. Yeah. So even with really low luck, the special enemies from question mark bonuses give a lot of money. There are three groups of enemies you can get from them. Um, one gives less gold, still a pretty good amount for early game. Gives less gold though, but gives certain accessories, including recovery necklace, as I said earlier. So they're awesome. The group that I got in this question mark bonus give just straight up a ton of money, but they don't drop any items, but that's perfectly fine early game because all you need is money.
Yeah, getting that mob or the elephant is like basically striking gold because you get so much.
Yeah, especially first
Getting
run.
the elephant that early is kinda not good though.
Yeah, I mean in
Yeah.
general though.
Stats wise, he can be pretty spooky, but only for like the first few maps. In EHM, question mark mobs and other bonus mobs are actually very spooky. I just hit a shortcut and knocked by accident. But yeah, this is the rest of the run, and this is what the first few runs consist of. This is probably going to be the last run of the video. I don't really see much
Yeah.
point continuing it beyond this. See if we can get magic armor or Trident in this run though.
Otherwise, just cut it in at the end.
No real need.
Are you gonna make a walkthrough?
Yeah, full game.
Ah, I
Each
see.
G2 stage is going to take a while.
Getting the recovery necklace is probably gonna be.
Nah, it's
You're gonna have to cut
hard.
that down probably.
Oh yeah, most of the farms in the game, I'm not gonna like document like every farm run because that's just gonna be
Yeah.
like I only have a 2 TB hard drive, not like 20. I'd need so much storage for that, especially for like oh dude, I'd do a wing one farming part of it and I'd just have just infinite amounts of footage just for every
Yeah.
run that goes to grid and doesn't even get Zelda. And there
That's good.
is Trident, so
Ooh,
that's
nice.
big. Yeah, that's really nice. So that's one of the things you actually pretty much want before leaving here. It's already a bit better than Battle Axe despite having like 3000 less flat attack because 100% extra bonus is just massive. And after most drops in the game, you'll be asked to review the game. Even if you've already clicked the review button, it doesn't matter. Um, because you're on a high, you just got a drop, right? You're happy. And so Dev was like, if I ask them to rate the game right after right after they did something good in it, they'll give it good ratings. He was probably right, but no, we see right through your tricks.
Yeah, but I mean usually you're just frustrated if you just don't get the drop.
Yeah,
Plus, you've already rated the game because you need the bonuses.
yeah, like you've hit the rating button. It's weird, but I still see the idea of it. Like he probably knows
Yeah,
that a million people have just pretended to rate.
I've actually reviewed it 5 stars because I've wasted so much time on that game. It deserves it.
Yeah, same. So we're actually closing in on like 300k here really fast.
Yeah,
Super
that's really
nice.
good. I mean, you can get up to a comfortable 700 to 800k if you get lucky.
Yeah. So the good thing about 300k is you can unlock set slot 2, which we'll explain in a minute once we get it, because we are 100% gonna get it this run. We're basically impossible not to. Even if this is the only enemy we get for the rest, it's gonna happen. And again, unlocking an extra set, at least for the first couple, is massive, especially the first.
Have you already used your bonus this round?
Dailies, I think I've used one so far. So, oh, I haven't. So when you want to use daily bonuses is when you've got a bunch of zones. Well, it depends on the run, but for runs like, for this kind of run specifically, level 22 gold farming, 1333 also gives good gold. So once both of those two zones are clear of bonuses, you want to use a daily there, in the hope of getting the highest order money bonus you can. A few runs in, if you get like money times 7 for 6 in here, you're probably literally getting like 700k gold or some actually awesome amount like that.
Yeah, I remember like in heaven I had like a total of 15 times 7 bonuses and I got elephant like 3 times. I came out with like 5 million. That was like great.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. So both these zones are clear, so we're gonna do it. So zones below, if you pop here, if you pop a daily, you want to do it from 2222 if you're looking for bonuses in either of these, like money bonuses, for reasons that are way too convoluted for me to bother explaining until like end game where it really matters. And that's awesome. We get a money times 3 for 4 here. Um, Bonuses spawned by a daily bonus can last anywhere from, I believe it's 3 to 6 fights. But bonuses spawned from just fighting, bonuses spawned after fights can last anywhere from 1 to 4. So we got 300k here, and I'm gonna jump right into this. So now we have set slot 2, and you can see this is just back to stock stuff. This is why this is so important. So I'm gonna make a running set. I'm gonna do it with battle axe because I'm not gonna have things that give extra stats, and really the less stats you have, the more favorable it is to use flat attack and defense over percentage. Trident's probably still better, but I'm just gonna use battle axe here out of being lazy. So this is where your running set is gonna go. Prepare to go fast because this is awesome. So you want encounter reduction rings and movement gem plus ones and movement gems in here. Encounter reduction rings are the most effective thing for this set, and then movement gem ones are the next best, and then movement gems. So I only have 2 reduction rings and a movement gem, and 3 movement gems. I only have the slots to put in 1 movement gem, so I'm going to do that. This is why this is good. I'm just going to demonstrate here. Can you see the difference in my gauge? You can't exactly. That's why this is good. So there is a question mark bonus above, and I can probably just go for broke on that at this point and just see if I can get Rekko really early, like a weird person. And there's an attack gem 1. It's not that big. Wait, was that from Trident enemy? I think it was.
Yes.
I don't remember him dropping attack 1s. Whatever.
I think Spings also drops HP jumps and attack jumps. I'm not sure. One
Yeah.
of the two.
Yeah, I remember Sphinx only drops like stat 1s. So we're gonna sit in here and just go just completely for broke, hoping for a question mark mob. And we are not gonna get one. That happens. They have anywhere from, I believe, a 26% to a 42% spawn rate, depending on what group of question mark mobs the bonus actually is for.
Spings can drop HP, defense, and attack all +1.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So I'm gonna use my second daily bonus here. Let's see. And oh wow, okay. So we've got 2 different question mark bonuses. Okay, this is awesome. So we are getting money. That was 100,000 gold in one fight. So this is why question mark bonuses are great. This enemy does drop less than the other one from the same group. So there are, I don't have Almanac open, what an idiot. So I'll try here to see if I can finally see the other group you can get here. So yeah, so this is a mob from Group A, which is the group that drops less money but also drops accessories. So this is nice.
Imagine getting a Rico now from Ishtar.
Oh yeah, that would be huge. That's the goal here. So as you can see, I've gotten a lot of money again all of a sudden real fast. That is what question mark bonuses are good for. So we'll see. I have I have well over 250k right now, so actually, let's see. Oh, that's trash. I can't be bothered with that. So I'll open up another accessory slot here, and instead of anything else, I'm actually gonna get the third encounter reduction ring, just to make this running side even better. It's not gonna be that extremely useful yet, but it's still nice to have. I'm gonna equip the select gem 1 here entirely because I feel like it. A couple runs by a couple runs in, you're eyeballing a couple things like that and doing what you want. This drops Revival Necklace, which you're not doing anything with for a very long time. Thankfully doesn't this time, otherwise I would have laughed. Um, we have still yet to see the enemy from here that drops a Recovery Necklace, and we're not going to see her. I think we saw every other enemy in the group except Ishtar.
Yes.
So this enemy drops Crit Ring, which is also useless.
Yeah,
Basically,
but I mean,
oh,
Ishtar is like the bane of my existence. In like 77 runs, I've only seen her once.
yeah.
Don't make the viewer depressed.
No, I'm just unlucky.
They're
It's
playing
just
IRPG, they're already depressed, dude. But yeah, so Ishtar is the only enemy in that group, at least in normal mode, that drops anything of any use. You may have heard a single sound effect there. That was from the game. Sometimes it bugs out, and even when you have sound effects off, it plays a single level up sound effect. It's kind of rare, but I just kind of find it funny. Like, why does it do that?
Happens in class all the time.
Seriously?
Oh
Just,
yeah, it used to happen
just set
when
your
I used to
volume to
play.
0, like your phone volume. That's not gonna bug out. Your phone, unsurprisingly, was made better than this game was made. Uh, that's not a compliment to the phones, though. Um, last couple fights here, we've still got about 200k gold, but I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with. Can probably get a couple nice utility things out of it. And last BP of the run. No, no magic armor last BP. This enemy can't drop it. So that's gonna be about the end of this. And we're gonna finish with about 229k or 230k gold. Fun fact, after your last fight of a run that takes place at 1 BP, zones can still generate bonuses. So there was a chance that after that fight, both of these zones would have question mark bonuses and I would have raged at it, which would have been really funny, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Happens to me all the time.
Oh, remember when that happened for you when you were farming to EVA and you...
Like 3 times in a row.
Yeah. So these right here are really important. Um, I don't think we need to worry about XP gems yet, because I'm still not planning on going past gold farm just yet.
Yeah, get the
I can,
+2. That's
yeah, I
big.
can make things even faster and just attack gem +2. Now, something to consider as well is what your stats are going to look like at the start of a run and what weapon and armor you actually want based on that. So this this is why flat attack weapons aren't actually completely useless after like you have a better percent weapon. Because when you start a run, you don't have any stat points in attack, right? And usually almost always most of your attack is still going to come from stat points. All the way from start of the game straight to end game. So I'm going to re-equip the battle axe here and I'm going to equip the trident. You can check how they compare by just selecting the other weapon other than the one you have equipped. And you can compare those throughout the run, and whenever the one you don't have equipped overtakes the one you do, then you can swap them. So whenever Trident is going to have more attack after equipping it, then I'll equip it. But that is going to be all for this video. That's basically the start of IRPG and how you play through it. Hopefully I don't slack off on this and like this keeps going and I can get all the way through the video game. That'll be difficult, but yeah, my stats screen has changed again. How this works actually is it takes the
Tap Titans 2 is an epic
no,
idle
no,
RPG.
no,
It has a
no, I didn't. I literally turned Wi-Fi off. What are you talking about?
RPG
Okay,
system where you get different
right,
armors.
right. Mute, please. Oh my god. So, I'll just explain it over this. I don't care. Wait, PewDiePie advertising Tap Titans 2? Okay, that's actually messing with my reality. But how the stat screen works is it takes the set you had when the game over screen came up on your highest level run. So the only way you can control what set you have on your statistics screen is to reach your best level ever, and then on your last fight, well, there are two things you can do. On your last fight of the run, if you're not using BP rings, you can equip whatever you want and then take that fight with this. So then after that, it will go into game over, and you can, fix your sets for the next run, but it'll still keep whatever you fought the last enemy with. Or if you're on BP rings, you can just take them off as long as you as long as you're at a point where without those BP rings, you'll just automatically game over. You can take those rings off and then switch to a set with whatever you want on it. It can be some dumb shit for styling with. Um, Let me find this here. IRPG stuff and images. So I have some really dumb stat screens as a result of this. You can't get to level 1.2 million with a Thunder Sword +1, but I screwed around with some things. This actually mirrors my first ever set that I posted that I had when I came into this server, and that's why I had this specifically, including the dark armor with a jib. This
Someone should
was,
figure out what
yeah,
character
this was
that
awesome.
set was with.
Oh, it was with red hair. I'm not getting a 1.3 with red hair. Um, but yeah, you can do that, and then you can have your stat screen be whatever you want, but that comes a bit later. At this point, you might want your last BP on any given run for gold farming, but that's how the stat screen works. So if your like latest gear doesn't show up on here, that's why, because you had a higher level run with different gear. I have talked way too much. This has been over an hour long now, Jesus. So that's gonna be all for this episode, hopefully, of this series, hopefully. Um, Next time this comes out, it's probably gonna be on the end of gold farming and starting to advance into drop-based farms where you're farming enemies for their drops specifically. And we're finally gonna be leaving the desert, so that's gonna be fun. You finally start playing the game. Um, it's worth it. Uh, this might not have been worth watching because I made it way too long, but the game is worth buying. If you enjoy it, keep playing it. But that's gonna be all for this. Hopefully you got something out of this, but that's gonna be all. See ya.